Welcome back to day 35, if my count is correct. We are going to introduce a new little component today. Be helpful to have somewhere on the ground or floor to do something, a few exercises in a moment, but let's start by standing in our preparatory stance, hand on the low belly, hand on the chest. Take a couple breaths to get here and start to relax your waist and your ribs. Wake up all parts of your lungs. After a few breaths, we're going to focus today on the difference between internal and external. So what I mean by that is we're going to keep half of our mind on what's happening internally. So now I'm lifting the arms with the inhale, exhaling, lowering the arms with the exhale. But half of my awareness, my focus is on still that expansion of the waist, low back, belly. The breath is the movement of the breath in the low body, the anchoring of the low body are as important as what the arms are doing. Letting the back, lift the arms up, sink the arms down. And we'll stand for a moment. So we're going to warm up the wrists a little bit, the wrists and hands. We're going to circle the hands around each other, closing the fist when it's close to our body and opening the fingers like a flower blooming when it moves away from us. Moving all those little wrist bones and tendons around the hand. And then let's do our patting. Waking up our spine, loosening up our neck, moving lymphatic fluid. On the chest, on the sternum, collarbones. Rib margin. Even here, we're still breathing into our hips, belly, even our thighs. Our feet are anchored to the ground. Patting on the kidneys and the sacrum now. Now let's pat down the legs firmly, back of the legs, inside the legs. Low belly, knocking the dust off that rug. Below the navel. Sides of the hips. And down the sides. Firmly down the sides of the shins. Top of the feet, front of the shins. Back to the low belly. Another breath here. Let's just remember, as things get more exciting on the outside, we start to get distracted from the inside. But it should start to feel like the inside movement, awareness, and anchoring is sort of primary. And everything else is kind of the background. Let's work on our arms a little bit more. Pin your top of your hands against your ribs. This is a breathing practice too. Breathe into your ribs, puff your ribs out. You'll feel it stretch your hands. So it's a way to know you're expanding your ribs with the breath, and also it's a good forearm and wrist stretch. Both sides, make sure both are working. Long breaths in and out. We're still breathing into the waist and belly, but we add the ribs. Now let's scrub the lower back and sacrum. We're going to keep focusing on the hands for a moment. So continuing this breathing in the below the belly button, along the waistband. Hold the hands. This is called ball holding. We're surrounding our fingers around an imaginary ball, like a beach ball. Feel the connection between your hands, almost like a magnetic repulsion, or the hands will feel warm or full. Your eyes can gently focus on the space between the hands. Relax the shoulders and elbows and the back. Relax the low back and let the legs have the weight. And now we'll start to, as we inhale, we'll let the hands gently separate. Exhale, we use the whole body and compress the hands together like we're compressing the heat of a fire or of something powerful, like a star maybe, compressing all that down, and there's resistance on it. We feel our whole body expand as we inhale, shrink and condense as we exhale. Let this motion start getting a little bit bigger. Feel how the whole chest and back and belly expand and grow with the inhale as we soften more of the tissues around the rib cage. And as we exhale, now the chest closes and the hands fold forward, palm down into our lung exercise. Continue growing this motion larger with each breath cycle until you're growing out through the arms and the fingertips with every reach, until like a tree almost, your branches are fully extended. You're inhaling, and this inhale fills your whole torso, belly, your arms. Exhale, and it closes the chest. It can be remarkably, when we sync our internal movement with our external movement, it can be a remarkably powerful experience. Calming and connected. Let's just sink the hands down now. Did this work on the upper body? Let's just lower the palms for a moment, pressing downward. We're pressing 2 beach balls under the water at our waist. Anchoring down. Letting the neck and shoulder muscles loosen. And then let's start our normal upper body shoulder stretches. Straightening the arms all the way. Taking the ribs side to side. Even as we do this familiar motion now, continue the breathing and imagine. Keep the image in your mind that the stretch is not just on the ribs or the shoulders, but from your feet up through your hands. So part of this focus on the internal movement of the breath is to connect all the parts of the body, which they really are anyway. We just think about them and use them separately, and that ends up leading to a lot of strain and injury. So anytime we move our pinky, our foot is responding, or we want to reach up taller, we use our lower back, tuck our tail, and it reaches our spine tall. We press our feet into the ground and let the hands lift. These motions can be imperceptible on the outside, but as you focus on that movement of the breath, you will feel them. Have a little trust, imagine it a bit. That's what we call the intention, the E in Chinese medicine. Is we have a goal, we have an awareness of what's happening, and then we have almost an image that we're modeling. That's why it's good to work with a teacher. You can copy them. We're just becoming copycats, even sometimes if the image or idea is just in our mind. We're going to fake it till we make it a bit. Reaching down towards the ground. Now just hang here for a moment, fingers on the ground, and just loosen your neck and head up. It can feel nice. No gravity on the neck here, so gentle circles. Just let it lengthen a touch. Come up in a safe way for the back. Now let's circle the hands again. We've loosened we've charged up the hands a bit. We've loosened the shoulders. Let's do our same hand circling exercise and see if it feels any different. Letting the fingers curl and uncurl. Don't overthink it, just follow along. Reverse directions. Now let's do the same with the elbows. Join the wrists together. We've done this before. Circling the hands, forward, up, down and through. Squeeze the elbows together as you do it. Circling through one way, and then we should go the other a few times. Even here, we're using our feet are together. We're using our feet, our butt, our low back. Still breathing in the waist. Pushing up through those areas. Feeling how it moves the arms. Now let's warm up the hips. Let's just start going side to side a bit, depending on what time of the day it is. For me, it's early. These muscles have not been used or stretched in a while, so just easing into this. Or maybe this is all you do for your stretch. We'll lower the chest down if you're able, down towards the thigh. Some days, if I'm feeling looser, I may take this more vigorously. And some days a little slower. There's a lot of flexibility with how you use these. And now we're going to focus on this spinal turning. So, hands under the chin. The head lead, and imagine each level of the spine articulating you over. Stretch the top arm. We're going to focus on this back foot really anchoring so that we're reaching the hand and foot away from each other. After a few breaths there, we switch sides, slowly moving through the spine, and repeat on the second side. Your hands clean? Okay, come on. Really anchoring that outer back foot. Reaching the hand over. After a few breaths, here we are again, turning the head, trying to turn the upper back through the low back, the second time. Maybe going a little lower this time in the hip. The knee should feel steady and strong. That bent leg foot, I do turn the toes out. You'll find a more comfortable position on the ankle, or on the knee rather. Now let's sit the hips down. We're going to put the palms down on the thighs and stretch the whole low back. Circling around, exhaling forward, reaching the head away from the buttocks the whole time. Inhaling back up to top. One way, then the other. And let's sit the hips down. Press the outer edge of the hand and the outer edge of the foot so they kind of mirror each other. It can be very useful. And then fold straight forward. Let's let the back of the legs and groin muscles stretch a bit. Now let's take it to one side, reaching sort of like in our first forward bending exercise, reaching the ribs and the shoulder blades forward. Switch sides, maybe do that a couple times. We're still breathing. Now our belly's compressed, but we're still breathing into the waist.
I got a carrot.
All right, so here is our new set today. We're going to continue this idea, this focus on the low back, the pelvis, this area of the body below the navel. This is our center of gravity. We're going to do some strengthening for it. First, putting the knees bent, feet down, lifting the hips. And we want this low belly, we want to breathe into this low belly, expand it all the way, and retain the breath there. Push all the breath and force and effort into that area, sort of packing in energy, if you would, there. And when we're done holding our breath, we lower our hips and rest. So we don't want the face to become very red or like the throat is very full. We want to push all that down towards the belly and the low back and the buttocks. This pelvis area. Lift again, second time. We're going to do it a few times. Filling the belly, I feel like a balloon is blowing up in the pelvis and belly, holding that air and kind of squeezing on it. Bring all the energy and focus out of the throat and chest, pushing it down towards the belly. So let's do this 3 times total. Then we're going to stretch the legs out, the heels and the shoulders and head on the ground, lift the waist now. This is challenging. We breathe back into the belly. Puff the waist out like a balloon. Push all the energy down to that area. Push the breath and all the neck and throat get all heated up. Rest after. You don't need to turn purple or anything holding your breath. Do it for a moment and then rest down. Take a couple rest breaths and do it again. Here we are, second time. We're going to do it one more time. And now we're going to sit up on our, balancing on our butt. Now you can have the legs bent if you want. That makes it easier. Or you can straighten the legs more.
That little one?
Mm-hmm. It is. Again, here we're going to puff up the belly. Arms go forward wherever they can. Any version of this is fine. The legs can be totally bent if you need. Fill the belly, hold the breath, push everything down towards the belly until you feel like you're needing air, and then let another breath come in and rest down. Just recover for a moment, and we'll do it again. So this is, we hear a lot about core work. It's fine to do a lot of the different exercises. It's a good thing, but we also build a lot of tension in the low belly. It's really not great to build a rigid, hard abdomen or a rigid, hard back We want deep, supple strength in these areas. So these exercises help to sort of charge them up with circulation, blood flow, but sensitivity a bit. We're not just repeating the same motion over and over and over thousands of times. But you can stay here as long as you can. You can get a very strong strengthening workout in these areas. Resting down. We have one more. So the same idea here now in this. Okay. We're going to be on our knuckles or our elbows and forearms if we need. We're going to be tucking our tail, breathing into our pelvis. Holding the breath, pushing everything down towards that waistline. Okay. There we go. We did our strengthening. Let's stand back up. Let's shake the body. Let's incorporate those changes back into the body. Get everything moving together again. Let's turn the arms a few times, rotating the spine, making all of the muscle fibers sort of sync up one more time. And then we're going to stand for a minute. So this today and this practice and this whole week, next several days, think about this idea. We're just touching on it constantly. You don't have to feel like you're doing it wrong if you can't feel the things I'm talking about. The awareness of that will grow over time, but I want you to think about inside movement, outside movement. I want to sync them up. We want the inside to be supple, relaxed, alert, and for it to translate through the limbs, the arms and legs, into outside movement. We tend to just use a lot of muscular tension, the outside, the limbs, the outside body, and muscle our way through things, and that causes problems. So standing here again, just we're floating. We don't weigh a thing. The arms are buoyant, the whole back of the neck relaxes, the shoulder blades sink down towards the hips sink down towards the heels. The knees have a bend in them, and the ground supports you, floats you upright easily.
What are all of those yours?
This is mine, this is yours. There you go. All right, we'll sink the hands down now.
Is this mine?
Let them rest on the belly for a minute. Have a great day. Good job being here today. You're doing wonderful. Showing up every day, trying these things, expanding your mind, your body. We'll see you tomorrow.